The expression, when it rains, it pours, comes to mind when considering everything that is going on behind the scenes of WarnerMedia in general, and DC in particular these days. Not only is there a major corporate reshuffle in the works, which is a pretty big deal in its own right. On top of that, they have the lead of 2 upcoming blockbusters, one of which is about to be released, going criminally insane in public. As if that wasn't enough, they also have the co-lead of another upcoming blockbuster in the process of being exposed as an alleged violent manipulator in court, implicating their movie and its main star in the process. There is a lot to unpack here, so strap in, because in this editorial we'll begin by providing an overview over the corporate reshuffle, before moving on to the Ezra situation, the Amber situation, and how all of this is going to have some major ramifications for DC on film going forward. Before we begin though, if you are new, then welcome. Industry analysis like this is what we do best. So please smash that like and consider subscribing if you're into that. I'd also like to ask all existing subscribers to check that you are indeed still subscribed, as we've gotten a lot of reports from regular viewers that they've been randomly unsubscribed without their consent. With that, let's begin with a quick recap. Three years ago, AT&T acquired Time Warner and all of its subsidiaries, renaming their new acquisition WarnerMedia. Jason Momoa really cleaned up and cleaned out when he was appointed CEO in 2020. But after assessing the situation, AT&T Corporate decided that running WarnerMedia and all of their content creation across a variety of platforms wasn't for them after all. In February of this year, it was announced that they would sell the majority stake of WarnerMedia to Discovery in a $43 billion deal. AT&T would still retain a minority stake, so they're not divesting themselves from WarnerMedia completely. But new majority owner Discovery and its CEO David Zaslav is about to assume full control over WarnerMedia. This makes sense. Coming from the world of telecommunications, none of the senior staff in AT&T really knew anything about entertainment and content creation, while Zaslav and his team understand that world. As evident by them successfully having made Discovery and its subsidiaries more successful with audiences than most would have imagined possible, given the nature of Discovery's programming. Now they will be applying those management principles to all things WarnerMedia, ranging from CNN to the entertainment division Warner Brothers, which includes DC. This means that many of those that used to run those divisions into the ground are in the process of being, invited to leave. And that includes Sarnoff. In every way the Kathleen Kennedy of DC, Sarnoff is the outgoing CEO of Warner Brothers. She is part of the Hollywood royalty, so she's been all over the place over the course of her career. Therefore, let's focus in on her contributions to DC. First and foremost, she continued to back Walter Hamada as the head of the DC on film operation, even when it should have been blatantly clear he wasn't up for the task. Case in point, Hamada actively fought against Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and only gave it the green light after signing off on co-financing deals, which reduced Warner's short-term exposure on what was essentially a low-budget movie they could have written off entirely without breaking a sweat, if it had bombed, which Hamada was worried it was going to. Instead, Joker turned out to be a billion-dollar hit. But due to Hamada's co-financing deal, Warner lost out on a very, very big chunk of that money. So if not Joker, what kind of DC movies were Hamada and Sarnoff all about? Well, not anything with Ben Affleck or Henry Cavill. Look no further than them for why there hasn't been any more Superman movies. Instead, they're all about Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 1984, the kind of DC movies that are heavy on the message. They only approved of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad because it was James Gunn and they weren't about to block anything he wanted. AT&T were reportedly the ones that ordered Peacemaker for HBO Max. And Hamada was, according to rumors we've heard, very excited about the prospect of J.J. Abrams doing for DC what he had already done for Star Wars and Star Trek.
You serious?
Yes, I'm serious. Because Hamada apparently is under the delusion that Abrams is popular with audiences. But that aside, Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 1984 is all Hamada and Sarnoff. Those movies are indicative of the future direction they want for DC on film, which Sarnoff made clear in an interview with Variety in May of last year. Conducted just prior to the release of the Snyder Cut, and published in conjunction with the release. This was the interview in which Sarnoff decreed the Snyder Cut to be a creative dead end, never to be followed up on. And she affirmed they would never ever release the air cut of the original Suicide Squad. She also spoke out against toxic fandom, labeling the fans who dared criticize individual Warner executives responsible for blocking the Snyder Cut release for so long as being reprehensible, saying, "It's completely unacceptable. I'm very disappointed in the fans that have chosen to go to that negative place with regard to DC, with regard to some of our executives. It's just disappointing because we want this to be a safe place to be. We want DC to be a fandom that feels safe and inclusive. We want people to be able to speak up for the things they love, but we don't want it to be a culture of cancelling things that any small faction isn't happy with. We are not about that. We are about positivity and celebration. Unless the fans were positive and celebratory towards something that Sarnoff and Hamada didn't want, like the Snyder Cut, of course. That's where the line was drawn, and then they were all about cancellation. What they wanted was deviation from the source material and the message. Now, Ann Sarnoff is confirmed to have left, which is Hollywood speak for she was shit-canned. While Walter Hamada at the time of making this video is rumored to be gone as well. But on their way out the door, they left Zaslav and Discovery with a couple of gifts that will keep on giving, just not the kind of gifts any corporation would want. During his tenure as the head of DC on film, Zack Snyder made some very inspired casting choices. But he also made a couple of casting decisions which seemed off at the time, and which aged like fine milk ever since. Ezra Miller's interpretation of the Flash came across as a bit on the, how shall I put it, neurodivergent side. He couldn't really run, and Ezra theyself has since made it clear that they wishes to be referred to as a they, and they appears to have it in for women.
Did you want to fight? Is that the deal?
Whoa, bro.
Fight?
Most recently, they were arrested and issued a restraining order, because they broke into the hotel room of a young couple they had previously harassed. And they did so first and foremost in order to attack the woman in that couple. While Zack Snyder was the one who initially cast Ezra, he in his defense probably did not realize the full extent of these issues at the time. And Sarnoff was the one that doubled down, by not only letting Hamada bring back Ezra for the Flash movie they planned on using to erase the Snyderverse altogether. She put they front and center in the studio's Harry Potter spin-off movies, the most recent of which is about to open, with one of its leads now having publicly made this spectacle out of theyself and by association the movie. This is so bad that Rolling Stone magazine even did a feature on how Ezra seemed to lose they's grip on reality. One insider says Miller had frequent meltdowns during production last year on The Flash, while the insider stresses there was no yelling or violent outbursts. The insider described Miller as losing it. Ezra would get a thought in they's head and say, "I don't know what I'm doing," the insider tells Rolling Stone. Sarnoff and Hamada should have known something was seriously wrong already then, but no. Rolling Stone also reports that emergency meetings have been held in which it was decided to hold off on putting Ezra into any more movies for the time being, which does seem exceedingly plausible. However, on April 8th, a face-saving denial was issued by way of IGN, maintaining that no such meeting ever took place. Ezra is a mentally sound, healthy young they, so why would Warner have any meetings about they's future projects? That at least is what IGN would have you believe. I believe IGN's denial is something you shouldn't unconditionally accept, or accept at all for that matter. seeing as the sources of numerous other outlets, ranging from Rolling Stone to John Campea to Small Screen, all maintained that the meeting very much so happened. And it would have been weird if it didn't, because Ezra chose the worst possible timing to break down like this. It's too late to do anything about Fantastic Beasts at this stage, other than to hope for the best. But as we shall see, The Flash had already been pushed back to next summer, giving them time to work on that. Maybe another Flash will be Flash-pointed in to replace Ezra. And The Flash might not be the only DC project in need of some Flash-pointing. Here, I have to be a bit careful, because the individual in question is incredibly protected by this platform. So let's just call her Aqualady. You know, she who accused Pirate Guy of doing to her what she, by all accounts, allegedly, may in reality have done to him. She who even defecated in his bed. And here is an artist rendering of that. We actually made a t-shirt of that, which you can wear to all upcoming Warner movies, because that would be hilarious. Click the link in the description to order yours. Anyway, fully aware of how the public were turning against Aqualady, and Sarnoff nonetheless played a very big role in firing Pirate Guy from his role in the Fantastic Beasts movies, all while doubling down on her. Not only does Aqualady have a very prominent role in Aquaman 2, which wrapped filming just a couple of months ago, Walter Hamada even wanted to give her her very own Aqualady spin-off series for HBO Max. Obviously, that's not looking good right now, and by the time Aquaman 2 actually opens to audiences, there's a fair chance its co-star may have a guilty verdict in her baggage. Check out That Umbrella Guy's excellent coverage for more details on that matter. In short though, Ezra and Aqualady are the parting gifts that Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada left for the new boss, David Zaslav. We don't know what Zaslav will do once he has restructured the company in his image. But we do know he is not afraid of taking risks. He is all about growing the audience by way of creating programming that appeals to them, and he does know how to read numbers to that end. Those numbers will tell him that Sarnoff and Hamada's projects, Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 1984, really didn't work out as hoped. What did though was the Snyder Cut. Relative to the money put into it, that was a big hit for HBO Max. While Zaslav formally hasn't taken over yet, there are some rumors which suggest he has already seen enough numbers to at the very least have a vague plan for DC, and that some influence towards this end already may have been exerted. Case in point, we've previously reported on Mikey Sutton's scoop that Hamada's initial plan for The Flash was to end the Snyderverse once and for all. Ben Affleck's Batman was meant to be killed off, and according to more recent rumors popping up on places like Reddit, the movie currently wipes Henry Cavill's Superman out of existence too, replacing him with Supergirl. By the time the rest of the scoopers caught on to this, however, Sutton reported that something had changed, as Affleck's Batman is now scheduled to survive the movie. And that order did not come from Sarnoff or Hamada, that's for certain. There is no word on Superman's ultimate fate as of yet, but that the movie Out of the Blue was pushed back from the fall of this year to the summer of next year does suggest that some major changes may be in the process of being done to The Flash, and that was before Ezra had his public meltdowns. I wouldn't go so far as to say that any of this necessarily means that the Snyderverse is about to be restored, but it does mean that Sarnoff and Hamada's desperate drive to move away from Snyder is over. If Zaslav believes that at the very least a partial return to the storylines that Snyder set up will bring in more audiences than what Sarnoff and Hamada managed, it is not outside the realm of possibility that something like that could happen. But that will be up to Zaslav and whoever he appoints to run DC Films, which very well could be restructured into its own unit, modeled after Marvel Studios. Only time will tell for sure, and we'll keep you up to date with both the leaks of what might happen as well as the official confirmations of what is going to happen. To make sure you don't miss out, remember to first like this video, subscribe, and indicate you want notifications on all videos. With that, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments.